Welcome back to Drew Reviews, where it is a Friday. I am reviewing all the Friday the 13th movies up until actual Friday the 13th this year, and today it's one of the good ones. It's Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter, next on Drew Reviews. So as I said in the intro, this is one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies, probably third on my list. It's directed by Joseph Zito, who got this job by doing The Prowler in 1981, and I'll probably do a video on that eventually. I really enjoy The Prowler quite a bit for the most part, but this movie here, what I really like about it, it picks up right at the end of Friday the 13th Part 3. Jason's still laying in the same spot where Chris got him with the axe, and it's that night, and all the authorities have come in. They're loading up bodies, and Jason's there. They've got the helicopter over top, and I really like it as they take them, out of frame. Everything goes black at Higgins Haven, and I like that. They closed one chapter of one story to open the next, and so the story of Friday 4 really opens up in the morgue, where you got this just terrible morgue attendant played by Bruce Mahler, who is a regular on Fridays with Michael Richards. If you've not seen that variety show, kind of like Saturday Night Live in the early 80s. They got a lot of drug references on that show. Check that out. I'm pretty sure it's on Tubi. But of course, Jason comes back to life in the morgue and gets him and gets the nurse. And from that point, we're whisked away to Topanga Canyon, where the Jarvis family lives. And so in the Jarvis family, you've got Trish and young Tommy, played by a very young Corey Feldman, and their mother, and they're living there in the house that you would also see in like Murphy's Law with Charles Bronson and Eraser. It was an episode of Parks and Rec. But they're there living their lives, and this pack of teenage kids come in. And there's always got to be a group of teenagers that come in, and they're getting ready to party for the weekend. Along the way, there's also this Jason Hunter, this guy named Rob, that comes in, and he gets in Trish and Tommy's life. They're trying to unravel everything that's happened with Jason. But along the way, there's hijinks and fornication and death. Just your regular Friday the 13th stuff. Some really good kills in this movie. But I have to talk about Jason in this movie. Up to this point in 1, 2, and 3, he had been portrayed by stuntmen. And Ted White, who portrays him in Friday 4, the final chapter, is a stuntman. He's doubled John Wayne and all kinds of legendary actors. Rest in peace, Ted White. But he also brought a lot to this role. Jason runs in this movie, and he brought that here. He didn't want him to be just this lumbering oaf. And he just got this menace about him. That scene at the end where he just breaks through the front door and looks at him all standoffish, that's all Ted White right there. And I like he said in the making of this movie, he said he held himself separate from the kids. He wasn't anywhere around them until it came time to filming because he didn't want to be yucking it up, with these kids he's getting ready to off in the next scene. And speaking of the cast, the director Joseph Zito said he spent a lot of time, in the casting process for these kids because they wanted to get the right ones. And for the most part, I know a lot of people like the kids in Friday 4, but to me, most of them are pretty unlikable. You've got Paul there, and he's trying to cheat on his girlfriend with the double mint twins. Samantha, who's super possessive. Ted, who calls his friend a dead. It's just, the only kids in this movie that I really feel any sympathy for are, the couple of Doug and Sarah, the virginal ones, and Jimmy, the one who can't get lucky, who eventually does and finds out he's not, what his friend said he was. So when these kids get it, I'm not all that broken up about it. It's supposed to be just terrible, and it is. There's a lot of gruesome deaths in this, but I kind of felt they had it coming. I like Jimmy's death in this movie. He gets the corkscrew through the hand and the cleaver through the face, after he does some bad dancing with one of the double mint twins there. Ted's is pretty good through the projector screen. I really like Paul's, where he gets the spear gun, through the crotch. just some real good stuff there. Who I really like in this movie, though, are Rob up until his demise, and Trish and Tommy and their mother. I think they bring a lot of humanity to this movie, the close-knitness of that family. I think a lot of these Fridays are missing that, and I really like just the bond that they have together. And of course, once all those kids get disposed of, and you've got Rob and Trish and Tommy fighting Jason, That's when it really gets good, with the exception of um, Joseph Zito put this in the movie because I guess there was a subway killer in New York City and he was getting killed and he said, he's killing me in the middle of this crowd and everybody just walked on by horrifically. He put this in this movie. And of course, Rob, he's built up to be this Jason killer, this Jason hunter all through the movie, and he just goes down like a chump. Yeah, he's killing me, he's killing me. You know what, dude? Maybe you should quit dying and get to fighting. But the rest of the movie, where it's just Jason chasing Trish and Tommy throughout that Jarvis house, I love that part of this movie. They beat the crap out of him, with a hammer and with the machete and everything. And just one of the most gruesome Jason deaths I've ever seen. This is probably one of the top kills in the franchise, right there with like Mrs. Voorhees getting her head lopped off or Mark going down the stairs backwards. So yeah, for the most part, I just absolutely love Friday Part 4, from the locations. That Topanga Canyon's beautiful. I think that lake they actually shot in a different location, but it was nice seeing a lake again after, just this little man-made pond in Friday 3. I thought the kids' acting performances in this movie were pretty good, other than them just being written as just unlikable. But talking about unlikable, I'll get into the things about the movie that kind of bug me. And, we're talking about the character of Rob, and he's killing me, and just how stupid that death was. How he, just, dude, get the fighting, brother. His sister was supposed to be the character of Sandra from Friday the 13th Part 2, and he's been hunting Jason after this fact for months, right? Well, when you think about it, Friday 4 happened the day after Friday 3, and then, that butted right up against Friday 2. So really it's been like 4 days or something like that, because each one's been a couple days. So, honestly, it's probably like Tuesday the 17th or something. But, he says he's been hunting Jason for all this time, but really it's just been a few days. And when you sit back and think about that, you're like, that's interesting. So yeah, as much as I like that character of Rob, his motivations to me are just a little bit off. That can be put on the director for not, taking the time to put all the pieces together and make sure they fit, to quote Tool. So the character of Rob gets on my nerves there, and the character of Teddy gets on my nerves, with the teddy bear line and the constant, he's smoking a joint, and he's constantly laughing high pitched, and I've never been that high that I laughed that hard. But anyway, the death of Samantha to me is just, I like the idea of the death of Samantha, in that raft. And I guess you got borderline hypothermia from this movie for that. But anyway, the face she makes when Jason's stabbing her up through the raft, it's just ridiculous. But overall, man, Friday the 13th Part 4, I love it. And to me, along with Part 2, this is the scariest. This is actually probably more scary because, the presence that Ted White brings to this thing. I mean, he's so scary that Gordon the dog actually goes and jumps out the window. So that ought to tell you something there. But as a whole, as far as what I would rate Friday the 13th Part 4, I'm going to go 7.3 for this movie. I do think it's very good. I think it's shot well. Some of the scenes, like where he's killing Rob, are shot in shadow, so you can't see everything that's going on. So I do like that part of that scene. So yeah, 7.3. It's probably my third best. When we get to Part 6, we'll see if it's my second or third favorite in the franchise. But I'm thinking 6 is. But we'll get there eventually. So guys, let me know what you think down in the comments about Friday the 13th Part 4. Am I wrong about these kids? Are they more likable than what I think they are? Or are they all just, just trash human beings who need to be off by Jason Voorhees? Anyway, if you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, I'm Andrew, and I'll see you down the line.